Hello and welcome to the You Are the Program podcast. Welcome audio, welcome video, welcome YouTube, welcome Spotify, welcome Apple. If you can tell by now, tried to mention this at the end of the Indiana podcast as well. Kind of had forgotten that we switched over to a new platform that allows us a little bit more flexibility here and a little bit of more ease. And we will be expanding and are expanding into YouTube. So you can see us now present or podcast with you. Hopefully in the future, we will also add in the live element to this so you guys can watch us record. Join the comment section. We can have a little bit of back and forth while we're recording. So welcome everyone. And now welcome into my co-host, Tyler Higbee, Brian Lewerke. We are doing the Michigan preview podcast. So this one won't have as much, what do I want to say? Spite or hate, as we might say, as the normal Michigan Week podcast might. We are doing our Michigan Week podcast, just wrapped up Indiana, moving through the Big Ten schedule from Michigan State. Fellas, how are we doing today?
Doing great. We get to talk about Michigan this week. Obviously, we're not going to be poo-pooing on them too much. That's for later on in the season when we do our week of podcasts.
Is it? Are you sure we can't do it?
I mean, we can. I'm not opposed to it whatsoever. But yeah, this will be obviously. We actually are going to be at this game. We just bought our tickets and got stuff figured out to go to this game, so it'll be fun.
Yeah, so it is now a good time about to talk about the possibility of a You Are the Program tailgate part 2.
Yeah, I mean, it will probably be happening. It will probably be. I mean, there will definitely be a tailgate. Yes, there will be. Yeah,
it was much success the first time. It was we didn't really expect it to be as big as it was. It ended up being a pretty big turnout. So
yeah,
if you're going to Michigan,
it did help that
feel free.
A lot of guys were back.
Yeah, it helped.
It did help, but
it helped that it was on the weekend of Coach D'Antonio's Hall of Fame enshrinement there, or Ring of Honor enshrinement there at Michigan State. But nonetheless, yeah, it was a great weekend. And that's honestly, like, when we're thinking of this podcast, we're thinking of what we're trying to do with it. Like, the reason why we created it was, number one, to be a platform that I mean, Tyler and I just started it probably 4 years ago just for fun, and Brian joined the next year. But on top of that, like, giving you guys, whether it's behind the scenes, kind of a little more information in terms of the things that are going on in the game, but also, you know, I see this as like an extension of, and would hope that this can build into an extension of, you know, the Michigan State program that we all love, of, you know, the brotherhood and kind of the meaning behind Michigan State football, and continue to bring guys back on. I don't think last year we did as much, but I know we want to continue to bring on guests, continue to kind of bring you guys something different, or stories or anything that's kind of behind the curtain. And so, the tailgate last year with all of kind of guys that we played with from the entire D'Antonio era was phenomenal to see everyone. But I would hope that we can continue to be an extension of that through a podcast, or through maybe even a tailgate every year. So that's definitely the hope, and looks like we will be continuing it this year. So without any further ado, go ahead.
Side note, well, we mentioned that this is the Michigan preview. It's the 10-year anniversary of the. Whoa, he has trouble with the snap. The ball is free.
That was
Art Shaw McDonough.
Yeah, you might have a future there. You might have a future there, kid.
No voice crack, but hey, did my best.
Well, yeah. It is a 10-year anniversary. I didn't even think about that.
I didn't either.
Might have to try and bring someone special on for that occasion. We know a couple people that were involved in the play.
How many? We need to set a clicker to see how many times they play that clip that week.
Oh gosh,
it will be a lot. It will be certainly a lot. But I don't care, because that it's a great clip for us to always watch. But even better, I think it's a much worse clip for Michigan fans to watch. Than even how good it is.
I would hate that clip if I was a Michigan fan.
It's got to be so annoying. But 10-year anniversary will be coming up this year, and we will be getting the Michigan Wolverines at home this year. Just going through a little bit of their season preview here, opening up as we we forgot to do this in the first couple, but the betting info, and it kind of gives us again a gauge in terms of where the public might think that a team is going to fall, and then also where we expect them to kind of fall on this. So to win the Big Ten, Michigan is plus 1,000. I believe that is third in the conference behind, or no, fourth in the conference behind Ohio State, Oregon, Penn State. Over under of 9.5 wins. I'm sure once I finish this, let's talk about that. And then to make the playoff, plus 205. So all of these, I don't want to jump the gun here. All of these, I think, are very, very, very bad odds. This plus money, but in terms of the value that you're getting with these three, I don't see it with either of these three. But Brian or Tyler, I'll open it to you before we kind of come back.
Again, the one that stuck out to me was the over/under on wins. Yep. I mean, I guess like you think Michigan wins 9 games, it kind of doesn't seem like a lot, but then 10 seems like too much for them. So I mean, if I were to lean one way, I would lean under at maybe like right on 9, and that's probably why they set the line there. But and then I think the other stuff, probably the 4th best odds in the Big Ten. I don't hate that. And then the value on the money to make the playoff, I just don't think is even like remotely worth it whatsoever.
Well, it's just a hedge of, does 9-3 get them in, right? Or does 10-2, if they do go 10-2, I got news for anyone. As long as they don't lose a bad game, they're probably in at 10-2. So I get it, but it seems like a lot.
Their schedule is interesting. I was telling Brian before we started recording that week 2 game at Oklahoma.
Yep.
I don't know what Oklahoma team we're gonna get this year, but that's an interesting one because that could be. No, it's not like a make or break for them in the playoff, but if they win that one, they're likely going to be. I would think 5-0 heading to USC, and the rest of their schedule is very favorable. I mean, you look at Ohio State. That's the end of the year, obviously the biggest one, but their schedule sets up very nice for them if they can get through that first month and a half of the schedule.
I don't think Oklahoma's make or break, but I would agree in terms of you win that game, all of a sudden you're probably more favored than not to go to the playoffs. Like I think that flips to like minus 110 to make the playoffs. The reason I don't see it with either of these three is, Tyler, you talked about 5-0. I don't know. They got to go to Nebraska, who we did their preview earlier this year. And I think all three of us were pretty bullish on Nebraska, having Raiola for a second year, having Holgerson as the offensive coordinator, the year 3 Matt Rule jump. That's a tough game. You got to go out to USC, a USC team that should have beat them last year. And then they got to go to us, which again, I know it was a tight game last year, whatever. Like, I don't think that's a just guaranteed win. There's a lot of like assuming in their schedule, I feel like this year. And as we'll get into with this preview, there's not a lot that I'm sure of with this Michigan football team. Talent, yeah. They brought in a lot of talent through the transfer portal and through Bryce Underwood, and we'll have a big conversation about him. But in terms of what we know about this team, we know their defense is going to be good. But how different is that offense going to be? There's a lot of new faces over on that side of the ball. It's just a lot to project a true freshman quarterback. By the way, they have like 4 quarterbacks with college experience, or 4 quarterbacks that are at least vying for this job right now. 2 transfer quarterbacks that have college experience that are probably trying to win this job. But I got news for you. They're not sitting at $5 million, or however expensive their freshman number 1 quarterback in the country was. I just like, there's so much unknown, and you got to go to USC, to Michigan State, to Nebraska, to Oklahoma. And then, oh, by the way, at home against Ohio State, and you have Washington at home, who I think is going to be a good team. Like,
I'll say this about.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I'll say this about Nebraska. You know, when you see a bet that you like, or you kind of like on a book or whatever, and the more you look at it, the more you talk about it, the more you talk yourself into taking that bet. That's kind of how I am about Nebraska right now. Yes, I said I wasn't going to be surprised if they made the playoff. The more we talked about it, the more I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah, I can see it. But really, I need to see it to believe it with Nebraska. Once they prove to me that they're that team, then I'll give them the go ahead. But like as we sit here today, I'm marking that down as a win for Michigan, even with all the unknowns on this Michigan team.
100%. I do agree with you with seeing it to believe it. It's just in years past, like when you see a win total that's I think 8.5 is like kind of we just talked to, or 8.5, like we talked about with Indiana. That's like kind of a middle ground or understandable, and you can see a team getting to 9. It feels like such a big leap to just assume a team to 10. Like to 10 feels like a big number, especially when you have, when I see a 10 win like preseason schedule that I would like, it'd be one that there's like 8 or 9 no doubters, and then you have 3 that you're like, I don't see them losing that game, but they could. And again, the Nebraska game, I agree with you. I have to see it to believe it. But that's not the only one where I'm like, I'm not sure. So
I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that they won 8 games last year with the putrid quarterback play that they had, and still were able to scruff out 8 wins
with the bowl game, though. With the bowl, I mean, 7 regular seasons. So
okay, true,
yeah.
But still, and they lost not too much. They lost Loveland and Mason Graham were kind of the 2 big names, but so they're returning a decent amount, I think. And like we mentioned earlier, they brought in some good transfers, and they have Bryce Underwood now, who still, like, I think he'll be a good player. He's one of those, I need to see it. You don't just walk in as a true freshman into the Big Ten and just automatically dominate it. So we'll see.
Yeah. So let's talk about that offense. We've talked about their preseason odds. We've talked about everything. Let's talk about the offense and kind of the team that they're bringing in. Before we do that, let me hit on the transfers real quick, and this kind of parlays into the offense here. So transfers that they got in, and I had just mentioned this up top. Mikey Keene, the Fresno State quarterback, who was known as kind of a pretty good feisty quarterback that they had. I remember, I think Michigan played Fresno last year, and he was kind of at the top of like people's scouting reports, or everyone was kind of talking about him a little bit. So Mikey came from Fresno State, and then Jake Garcia from East Carolina. Both of those guys have experience. Jake Garcia actually got replaced, I believe, mid-year by Caden Hauser, the old Michigan State friend that we have, and he kind of balled out there. But so they have 2 guys with starting experience or with collegiate experience there. They also got Justice Haynes, an Alabama running back who on paper looks like a absolute tank. So they're replacing there on offense in terms of some weapons and a running back position that last year, Donovan Edwards had an awful year, cover boy for ESPN, or not ESPN, for college football. Yeah. And they were placed there. So let's go into the offense and let's start the Bryce Underwood talk. And before we kind of dig too deep into that, so you had just mentioned they didn't lose a lot, right? But their offense in general, Colson Loveland was their offense. Like, I understand that they had a quarterback issue, but you are losing your biggest threat on offense to the NFL. Now, I believe they got another tight end, another ginormous tight end. They're an absolute tight end factory right now, honestly. And they're going to replace him. But outside of like Loveland, it wasn't just that the quarterback was bad. Like, their offense was bland. It was not efficient. The receivers never had any separation. Loveland was pretty much the only threat downfield. And so, that's where I have a lot of questions. So my questions with this Michigan team and offense in general isn't just the newness to it or the, everything that's going into it. They just didn't have a good offense at all last year at the receiver level. The offensive line wasn't that good last year. And oh, by the way, they have a new quarterback and a new OC this year in Chip Lindsey, who was at UNC last year. So there's just a lot changing on this offensive side of the ball, the side that struggled last year, probably for the better, but it's a lot of change.
Yeah, and I think it starts with they need Justice Haynes to be a really good player, and not just because of the fact that you have a freshman quarterback possibly coming into play. Get a little weight off of his.
There's no possibly with that.
I know. Yeah, I keep saying that, but you're paying a guy $10 million. He's going to be your starting quarterback. But it takes a little weight off of his shoulders. And then, when you think Michigan football, you think of ground and pounds, 2 tight ends, fullback, running back, 1 receiver, and they're running power on 3rd and 1. They don't get it. They're running power again on 4th and 1. So they kind of didn't really have a lot of that last year with Donovan Edwards. So I think Justice Haynes could be the key to this offense and could get him kind of rolling, I think.
I'm with you. I mean, with him, I think that receiving room needs to take a big step for that team to be successful too. Because yes, you have a highly touted, big-time recruit coming in the quarterback position, but he is still a freshman, and this is going to be his first go-round with everything. First college atmosphere, all this stuff, all the different stuff that goes into it. So you're going to need guys to step up, make plays for him, make him feel more comfortable. And that offensive line has been solid for the past few years. I mean, they've been up for the was it the Joe Moore Award?
Joe Moore, yeah.
They've been up for that. I mean, a handful of times the last 3-4 years, and it's just been they've been rock solid up front. So that combined with the receivers taking a step, I think that's going to be key for this team.
For sure. And I'll round it out here and talk about the offensive line, because you had just talked about the offensive line in years past has been very good. Last year, it wasn't the same offensive line. It wasn't even close. Like, you can say what you want about Donovan Edwards, but it's not his fault that, and maybe some of it was. I don't think his vision was very good. There was a couple different issues, but offensive line wise, it was a team that wasn't, or it was a unit that was not up to par for what they have been in the past. And if that's going to be your identity, if that's Sharon Moore, offensive line guy, if that's going to be our identity, that you need that to evolve. So, and that's where I'm saying, and tying it back into the previous discussion, there is a lot that needs to come together in this group. We just talked about 3 different position groups that needed to take a step forward. On top of the fact, and now let's get into the Bryce Underwood discussion, you have a true freshman quarterback who is supremely talented. I've seen a lot of comparisons. I've never really seen him play, but everyone talks about how good of a thrower of the football he is, how good of a runner he is. I mean, he's a huge dude. I think he's going to be very good. But if you're talking about a win total of 9.5, if you're talking about a lot of expectations for this Michigan team and having the 5th best odds in the Big Ten to make it and only doubling your money for a college football playoff berth, there's a lot of pressure on that quarterback who hasn't gotten any college experience to do that. Not even like all these other things. I mean, he's on the cover of NCAA. We talked about the money, so I don't even know that aspect, but like I've seen him courtside at Pistons games probably 5-10 times. He's thrown out the first pitch at Tigers games. Like, he is a huge deal around this area, a ginormous deal. And there's going to be a huge spotlight on him. And there are 2 quarterbacks behind him that have played a lot of college football. So my interesting thing we're going to have to watch is, like, as it progresses through the season, if things aren't going great in Norman, Oklahoma, week 2, and he's your day 1 starter, things aren't going great on the road, does he get the hook? Like, there's a lot of that goes into it. Then the media only piles on. So, I could be completely off base here, and he could just be an absolute stud from day 1. I can see that. But I think there's a lot that has to go right on this offensive side of the ball for this team to hit expectations. And again, that's not just quarterback. That's not just offensive line. It's also receivers. So there's just a lot that has to go into it, on top of an offensive scheme in Chip Lindsey that's different than what they ran last year, like completely different. He's a more spread it out. He might be more power spread, right? But there's just a lot that goes into it, and I don't want to belabor it anymore, but that's just kind of where I'm at with the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah. I don't think I have anything to add. 100% agree with everything you said there.
I drilled it in pretty good there, but as I told you guys, the Michigan and Indiana podcast, I think, were the 2 most where I was kind of digging deep on the offensive side of the ball and just kind of what they had into it. But let's take it to the defensive side of the ball, because this is, like, we talked about the Indiana preview and being certain in a defense. It's Michigan for the last 4 or 5 years. It's felt like longer than that. Their defenses have been stacked, and that doesn't stop this year. They lost Will Johnson. They lost, I believe, Josiah Stewart as well. They lose Mason Graham. They lose Kenneth Grant in the middle as well. So they lose a lot of guys. But this is the one side of the ball that, we talk about turnover. We talk about things changing and being uncertain on the offensive side of the ball. I don't have any fears on this side of the ball, because they're going to be aggressive. They're going to get after it, and they're going to be a good defense again.
Yeah. Michigan always is known for their good defense. And you can kind of put an asterisk on 2023 possibly, because some other stuff may have been going on.
Not just 23, but
Yeah, a couple years maybe. But yeah, they lost 5 of the top 7 of their back 5, whatever, the defensive backs. So that's probably their biggest question mark, is kind of getting guys. They brought in Arkansas transfer TJ Metcalf, but I think that's kind of the biggest question mark with this defense. But again, they're known for their style defense. They're known for playing fast and physical, so they're always going to have some guys back there.
they also, before you go, Higbee, they also reloaded on the defensive line front in terms of transfers. Not just the Arkansas transfer that you had mentioned, but Damon Payne from Alabama, productive guy that's played, I think, 2 or 3 years at Alabama. In his, I don't think he's a 4th or 5th year. I think he's earlier, but he's still been productive at Bama. And then Trey Williams, a 6-year senior out of Clemson. I don't think he's some top end, transfer who's been super productive, but he's played a lot. And that's another big body that they're adding there. But just wanted to add that.
Yeah, I was kind of going to go along with what y'all said. I mean, their front 4, their front 7 is going to be, I dare I say, elite. But their front 7 is going to be very, very good. The questions are going to be in the back end, but with the Arkansas transfer, it kind of reminds me of the defenses we played when we played against Michigan. They were always very stout up front, and they had one corner or a linebacker that was just, Jabril Peppers, for example. They had one guy on defense that always kind of was like the Swiss Army knife.
Yep.
And I feel like that's kind of what this defense is going to be.
Yeah, no doubt. And then you also add on that Wink Martindale in year 2. You know what type of defense he's going to play. He's going to be heavy pressure. He's going to bring exotic blitzes. So that side, there's zero concerns for me about that side of the ball. If you told me, now if we go back to that original discussion about the Big Ten championship, over under playoff, if you told me that their offense is just like average at the level for college football, I can see them going 10-2. Now, like, turnovers don't kill them, whatever. But I can see them doing that if their offense is at the level, and I think they can, because I think this defense is going to be another very, very good unit for Michigan. So it's an interesting discussion. It's probably, the market probably pays more respect to the bigger brand, because people see Michigan, people see Bryce Underwood, people see everything that goes into it, right? And Joe Public's probably thinking Michigan's going to have a good year this year, which they might. They really might. And I think Bryce Underwood for years to come is going to be an issue there. I don't think anyone's prying them away. Michigan also in this, part of their discussion has been the last 2 years, started with Bryce Underwood, but they're willing to spend and they're not afraid to do it. And they're going to continue to spend. I'd be interested to see how the new rules and regulations kind of factor into that with that NIL. But if anyone's going to work around it, it's going to be Michigan. So regardless, I think this is going to be a good team this year. 9.5 just seems a little too high. You can say that I'm biased. You can say that we might be biased in terms of 9.5. Would you guys be more surprised if they go 10-2, or I don't really want to say 9-3. Would you be more surprised if they went 10-2 or 7-5?
I think 7-5. Because I think they can be a good team if they can get the quarterback. I guess if they can get their offense figured out and be able to move the ball and put up points, I wouldn't be shocked with a 10-2 record.
I guess,
especially looking at their schedule too.
You kind of talked about their schedule. I'm kind of 50-50 on both. I don't know. I could see it going both ways. I could see all these new guys. It doesn't match the way that they think it will. I could see this schedule being a little tougher than what it may look like on paper right now, but I could also see it could be perfect, and it could be like a match made in heaven for all these guys. And Bryce Underwood is the next greatest thing that every Michigan fan is hoping and thinking he will be. So I'd be more surprised at 7-5, but it's not that far fetched to see them go 10-2, 11-1 either.
Yeah. I agree. I think 7. I was just trying to look at it. I probably should have gone 11-1 or 7-5, just because of the dispersion there. But I agree. I'd be more surprised to see him go 7-5, just because, again, I think on that defensive side of the ball, we saw what their floor was last year. There's no shot that offense is worse than last year. It's not even in the realm of possibility in my head for their offense to be worse. So I think their floor is still super high. We talked about Indiana's floor being high. I think it's the same thing with Michigan. Their floor is going to be high just because they do what they do, and their offense literally cannot be worse. So I think their schedule, again, might be a tick harder than last year. Tyler, you just talked about it. I mean, if things break incorrectly for them, like we talked about Nebraska, wouldn't shock if they're, if they're a good team in the Big Ten this year. You talk about USC going on the road. Would not be shocked if they lose that game. And us, I think we're going to be a little bit better. I know that's a biased statement to say that, but we look at the game from last year. It's at our place. I think we're going to take strides offensively. So still, I would be more surprised if they went 7-5. So if anyone out there is trying to clip that and put bulletin board material or anything or talk about anything, look back.
Be my guest.
Yeah, this is the least unbiased or least biased we will ever be about Michigan, because I do think that they're going to be a good team this year. So, okay, let's talk about real quick before we wrap up here. Michigan State this year, just real quick. How would you bin this game? We said this for the Indiana game. Would this be? I don't think this is one that we're completely writing off as one that you look at the schedule and say no shot. That would be reserved for Oregon, Ohio State, Penn State. I believe. Am I missing anyone there? I don't think so. I think we reserve those for those three. Other than that, would you say it's more unlikely that we win this game, or do you view it closer to a 50-50 type game?
Yeah, I think whenever we play Michigan, like, this is cliche, obviously, but like, you just throw the records out of the window. Like, if one team's good, the other team's bad, it really doesn't matter. Like, this game can go any which way, depending on just the nature of the rivalry. So I would put it in the realm of probably 50-50, I would say. I mean, I obviously will not be shocked if we win. But I think I would be a little pleasantly surprised as well.
Yeah, I'm right at 50-50. I think it really just depends on the day, depends on how healthy both teams are going into this game, because that usually plays a big part in it, who got what guys each team has available. But give me Spartans at home.
Agree. I say 50-50. We're going to look at it with green-colored glasses, but I think this team's going to be a little bit better than what we anticipate. There's been some good buzz coming out of camp. Now, that's not like insider buzz or anything that we've heard. I just feel like I shout out Graham Couch a lot on this podcast, Lansing State Journalist podcast. I listen to his podcast. I see some of the stuff that's being kind of out there in terms of, it seems like people are really impressed in about the receiver room and some of the weapons that we have. Looks like Childs is taking a step. Like, there's just things that you kind of can read between the lines. Now, at that same point, media members probably only get 3 to 4 periods out of practice, so they don't see a ton. But in terms of what is kind of slowly coming out, it's more of a tea leaf thing, where I think we are a little bit more confident in ourselves than a lot of people are giving us credit for. So, yeah, I'd say this is 50-50, again, based on the game last year. It's a game we should have won, I think, and it being in our place. This is one that we're going to want to get. It's year 2 of the rivalry for Jonathan Smith. It's going to be year 2 of the rivalry for Aiden Childs, guys that had never played in it before. Obviously, last year amplified it a bit, and they're going to know nothing's going to catch them off guard this year. Absolutely nothing. So it probably takes a year for people that have never experienced the rivalry to really know what it's all about, and there should be nothing that surprises them. So
to your point, Dante, about having confidence in this team, just real quick, it definitely makes me feel good. I think it makes you guys feel good hearing your offensive coordinator say they hit on all of the wide receiver transfers that they got. So that's a comforting feeling, knowing that they're going to add that with Nick Marsh and another year with Childs. So, like you said, not getting the carry before the horse, but I'm excited.
I'm trying to hold this in till like we do the Michigan State preview podcast. But yeah, to your point, I mean, like people cannot say enough about this receiver room, and we'll always take it back to it starts with the offensive line, right? The success and failure of this team and this offense is going to start and end with the offensive line. But yeah, the receiver room, there could not be any better reviews about it. And I think Jack Velling, we'll get into it with Michigan State, but I'm excited for this season to come. Like there was the clip today that they showed. I don't know if you guys saw it yet, of Childs just heaving 50 yards right into the hands of Amari Kelly, who looks like a carbon copy, just like helmet, uniform on, number 1 of Jaden Reed.
Yeah.
Like there's just vibes that are going right now. So enough said on that. All right, that is it. We will continue to be coming to you guys again on this YouTube platform. And additionally, you can always listen to us on Spotify, Apple. Please rate, review, and subscribe. We feel like we are going to have a big year this year. We feel like Michigan State is going to have a big year this year. We are ready to bring you guys the content. We got things that we're thinking of, that we're always thinking about this, and we're only in August, and I'm excited that we are doing these preview podcasts, because it's like every time we get on and record, it's like getting closer and closer. So I couldn't be more fired up. Anything else, fellas?
All good, Mr. Rosano.
All good over here.
All right. Well, we will talk to you guys next time when we have – who's the game we play after Michigan? Minnesota? Yeah, Minnesota.
Minnesota.
The Fighting PJ Flex. So we will talk to you guys next time as we continue the Big Ten preview. The Big Ten preview series. And until next time, go green.
Go green.